Let's try something radical. Stop asking when it's going to happen for you, and start asking what your waiting season is trying to build inside you. That's the real test. Staying aligned when nothing seems to move. In this video, I want to change how you look at delays. By the end, I promise you'll see the evidence that your life wasn't late or broken, it was being staged. Most people call it being stuck. They say nothing's moving, doors won't open, energy feels flat. It's easy to panic then, to assume the world is against you. But what if the stillness isn't a setback at all? What if that pause is the system hitting reset, quietly clearing out what can't travel with you into the next chapter? The waiting season is not punishment. It's recalibration. Life is slowing your steps so your foundation can catch up with your vision. Nobody likes the pause because it feels powerless. Yet that is exactly when power is being rebuilt underneath the surface. Progress usually announces itself loudly. New jobs, new relationships, new results on the bank account. But the most important progress rarely makes noise. It's the rewiring that happens inside you when nothing outside seems to change. That's why waiting feels heavy. You are holding still long enough for your old patterns to fall away. From the outside, nobody sees this internal work. And so you start thinking something is wrong with you, when really something quietly monstrous is taking root within. Picture someone who prepared for months for the perfect job. They rehearsed every answer, visualized the corner office, imagined the first day. Then they didn't get it. Everyone around them said, maybe it wasn't meant to be. That line is meaningless at 2 a.m. But a year later, they found themselves leading a different project, one that fit their strengths, required less sacrifice, and returned more energy than the first role ever could. The rejection was not a verdict. It was a reroute. The system refusing to hand you a role your current wiring couldn't hold. Relationships operate the same way. You meet someone who seems to be everything, then it falls apart. The loss feels like a ripped future. But sometimes life removes what was quietly keeping you small. Waiting through that painful space between almost and finally is where emotional regulation forms. You learn to name your needs, tolerate uncertainty, and trust your own judgment when the voices around you get loud. Those are upgrades the outside world can't measure. Yet they are the exact capacities that make you ready for alignment. This is systems thinking applied to the human heart. Every reliable system has inputs, processes, and outputs. The waiting season is input time. Data gets cleaned, habits get pruned, emotional bugs get patched. It's repetitive, it's boring, it's not glamorous. But without it, the process cannot run clean. Think of a slow hard drive trying to install new software. You can't force the update while it's full and fragmented. You have to clear memory first. Waiting is your internal defragmentation. Divine timing isn't cosmic torture. It's sequencing. You cannot receive certain opportunities until the version of you who can sustain them has been fully coded. That means delay isn't punishment. It's protection. Every postponed dream, every no, every silence after a brave move is information. You're not out of alignment. The system is still sinking. Losing what you thought you wanted may actually be proof you're on track, because alignment deletes what doesn't belong. What looks like chaos right now often becomes clarity the moment the system finishes optimizing. That's the precision of the mechanism. The very loss that made you doubt your bearing might have been the first sign that your internal algorithm finally began filtering what doesn't match your frequency anymore. Waiting is incubation. A seed cannot sprout amid noise. It needs darkness and pressure. The in-between stage you're living through is not empty. It's quiet construction. Systems are coding new conditions around you, lining up supports, aligning people who will finally recognize your growth the instant your signal clears. If only the signal could stay clear, right? But here's the trap. The minute we compare our timeline to someone else's, we jam the frequency. Comparison is interference. It's the static that blocks what was already on its way. Ever noticed how scrolling someone else's highlight reel leaves you deflated? That's not coincidence. That's your system losing signal. Comparison slips into your internal algorithm as corrupted input. What used to be clarity turns into static. And before you know it, you're chasing someone else's rhythm instead of perfecting your own. Every scroll, every glance at someone else's life, every "I should be further by now" adds noise until your energy feels scrambled. It's not that you lost direction. It's that your signal got mixed with information that was never yours to carry. When you measure your pace against someone else's, your compass starts spinning. Maybe you lower your standards to match trends, or you alter your goals to fit public expectations. Suddenly, the work that once felt meaningful becomes forced. Misalignment sneaks in like that, not all at once, but in tiny, convincing steps. Comparison pretends it's motivation. If they can do it, I can do it. But underneath, it drags attention away from authenticity and slides you into performance. You stop building, you start chasing validation. That craving to produce louder and faster isn't true drive. It's distortion. It's your system registering false positives and logging bad data. Think of the late night scroll after a rough day. You see a friend launch a business, post a promotion, get engaged, travel the world. At first you feel inspired. Hour 30 minutes later, the body's reaction has shifted. Your chest tightens. You calculate age, timing, missed chances. They're my age. They started later than me. What am I doing wrong? That spiral is desperation, not ambition. You didn't suddenly want their life. You wanted to stop feeling behind. Suddenly you're sprinting in a race you never entered. It's like trying to tune a radio station while broadcasting static. You can move the dial all you want, but the message never comes through clearly. Comparison is the static. It distorts your frequency so nothing around you resonates. And the hilarious cruelty is while you're busy decoding someone else's soundscape, you mute your own. Psychology backs this up. Social comparison floods your brain with conflicting templates of success and reduces clarity. Confused inputs force your internal process to waste cycles on irrelevant data. So creativity slows, decisions clog, and output feels off. You call it burnout or failure, when really it was misalignment. The good news: systems self-correct when interference stops. The moment you pull back from comparison, your internal environment begins to steady. Focus migrates back to authenticity. Energy returns to balance, and the static clears. When you stop needing external proof of progress, your creativity breathes again. You start hearing your intuition. Small, exact nudges that used to be drowned out. Those nudges are the signposts, the right text at the right time, the chance encounter that feels oddly inevitable, the opening that looks insignificant until you follow it. Flow resumes because your system recognizes itself again. You stop forcing outcomes and begin aligning with them. This is the turning point. Once you stop broadcasting noise, the external world doesn't stay still. It reorganizes. Circumstances shift. People appear. Timing clicks. What resisted you begins to respond. Not because you tried harder, but because the signal cleared. And here's the moment when it all starts to look like magic. The day alignment locks in. Everything around you rearranges to match your new vibration. The universe doesn't need the perfect moment. It's often waiting for you to send the right signal. Most people miss this switch because they think timing is external and some random force withholding blessings. But life stalls not because it hates you. It stalls because your frequency hasn't settled yet. The moment internal alignment locks in, the system doesn't ask permission. It just moves. You can almost feel it. A softening, a deep trust replacing the need to hurry. The tricky part is that pressure often intensifies right before the shift. Many quit there, in the space just shy of breakthrough, because silence gets uncomfortable. They interpret the pause as proof nothing is happening. But actually, the system is syncing. It's updating. It must hold still to change. Think of it like exhaling right before a long inhale. If you panic and start gasping, you miss the breath. The system can't update mid-breath. It has to pause, sink, then rise. That's why impatience ruins so many near miracles. Once you stop demanding results and start working from clarity, doors typically open in clusters. Let me give you a tight example. A creator obsessed with metrics refreshed their phone constantly, posted for the algorithm, and slowly burned out. They took a real break, no passive checking, and returned to creating for the work, not for the numbers. Within weeks, a low-pressure clip found an audience, not because they tried harder, but because their energy stopped repelling outcomes. Their clarity became input. The system responded. Different people saw different things. Opportunities that once felt impossible started to appear because the input changed from control to trust. When your input changes, the process reorders itself. Clarity and detachment act like clean data. They filter out old errors that used to jam the program. Suddenly, you begin catching intuitive nudges you used to miss. A message arriving at the exact time you needed it. A stranger offering precisely the help you were too proud to ask for. That's the system repairing itself. Once your inner architecture is steady, the system produces coherent output. That output may look like visible success or a profound peace, but it's really an external reflection of updated coding. Divine timing gets romanticized. People call it luck or blessing, but trace it back, and you'll usually find a mechanical process. Readiness meeting stillness. Think of a seed. If soil temperature, moisture, and pressure align, growth happens automatically. You don't yell at it to sprout, you set the conditions. It's not a reward you earn. It's a reaction when environment meets design. Most people call it a miracle because they didn't watch the quiet work. But often the change started when they stopped proving themselves and started becoming the person who could steward that change. There's a world of difference between chasing alignment and embodying it. When you relax into your truth, processes that belong to that vibration begin to snap into place. You might know someone who faced round after round of rejection, job after job, pitch after pitch. Eventually, they ran out of things to prove. They stopped over-explaining and began refining their craft quietly. Weeks later, one of those old contacts reached back with a different tone and a better offer. Nothing mystical about it, The signal changed. Their need to prove canceled the system. Their acceptance rebooted it. That's what alignment does. It forces the external world to reorganize. The system has no choice but to reflect your new settings. Once it starts, opportunities that once felt impossible come like dominoes, tipping in order. People call it manifestation, but it's synchronization. The system reads your calibration and updates outputs to match. When you understand that, you stop chasing timing altogether. The waiting wasn't wasted. It was updating you so timing could find you ready. And once that awareness sinks in, something inside you shifts. You look around and feel it. Your time to win isn't coming. It's already unfolding. The moment your inner rhythm aligns with what the universe has been prepared to deliver, your winning moment activates. It was never hiding in the future. It's been forming the second you stop fighting what was already aligned for you. The universe didn't need convincing. It needed cooperation. Every delay, every closed door, every stretch of apparent nothingness was sinking you closer to ease, not away from it. If this message found you, it's because your signal cleared. Consider this your proof. The shift is already underway. Now the only thing left is trust. Real, unflinching trust. Trust your internal timing more than the world's clock. Alignment doesn't rush, and it never arrives late. If something in this landed and you felt even a small unclenching, do one small courageous thing. Type, "I trust the process," in the comments below. No story, no explanation, just those words. That tiny declaration turns an inner shift into a public vow. It signals your nervous system, and it signals the field. If you know someone stuck in the pause, share this and ask them to write, "I trust the process," too. Little public promises become private engines, so stop asking when and start asking what this season is building. Protect your signal. Clear the noise of comparison. Collect the small signs. Act on tiny nudges. And when the system finally moves, receive it, steward it, and grow into it. Your turn to win isn't a distant event. It's already aligning behind the scenes. Trust it and be ready.